Can I get a skirt in the chat? Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the Games Cage. Today, I thought I would have a little discussion video about the state of reviews in 2019. How reviewing games is much different than it was 10 years ago, but how it needs to change a little more than it is just because of the nature of the games we get now. This conversation sparked because of Anthem recently, right? So Anthem has just recently come out. It's sitting at about, what, a 60 on Metacritic, basically overall. There's like a PS4 version with like 12 reviews that has 57, but on PC it has 60 reviews and it's sitting at a 60 on Metacritic. Now, the problem with this, right, is, again, obviously Anthem has a lot of issues, but a lot of these reviews came out during a pre-day one patch because the game was available to people if they had early access to the game. So there's a lot of weird shit going on with games where some websites are able to review these games before these major day one patches. Now granted, this is the developer's fault, like EA letting people have an embargo lifted before the day one patch that fixes a lot of problems, but we are having a fundamental issue in general with games as a service where their reviews certainly just don't mean anything anymore because those games evolve so quickly, right? So a game like Fortnite, right, that has a Metacritic score that was given, what, like 2 years ago now? That game is completely different. Like, obviously the core shooting mechanics are the same, but we've had seasons of content, we've had different guns, we've had different events, they've expanded just the ideas and modes and all this stuff. Obviously, I don't really play the game, but obviously I see what's going on with it, and the fact that that game isn't being constantly re-reviewed and updated is weird to me. A game like Splatoon 2, right, think of that, because that's a good example of a great game. That game launched, and it has, what, an 82, I want to say, on Metacritic, and that game has been supported for the past 2 years. It's had a major expansion. It's had over 10 new maps added in. It's had over 40 weapons probably added in there. It's had new modes added in. It's changed its ranking system. It's added so much stuff, and I just feel like it's unfair to a game that already had a great score on Metacritic to not be re-reviewed simply because it's not relevant, right? That score that's there on day one is what's reflected on it, right? Even if a game, it's very rare a game gets re-reviewed unless it's like a major, here's the new package, right? Unless it gets a new retail packaging, it's very rare a game gets re-reviewed. So I think we're in a weird position, right? So for example, I think for single-player games, like, for example, Mario Odyssey or God of War or Spider-Man, the score, they should be given scores right away, and that's fine because they don't go through major changes, right? Like, Mario Odyssey has had a lot of costumes added, but that doesn't change the core game, right? Spider-Man has had 2 DLC updates, but that doesn't really change the main game, right? And those reviews and those DLC packs get reviewed, so I think that's fine. A game like God of War, it's had some stuff like New Game Plus added, but that doesn't change the core experience. Whereas a game like Rainbow Six Siege, right, that is a fundamentally different game 2 years later now, right? It's had so many new content drops, it's had so many new classes added and all this stuff. And again, I don't even play these games, but I see from the outside what is going on with these games, that I just see that so much of these things have changed, right? It's like, even a game like Dragon Ball FighterZ, I adore that game. That game had server issues when it launched, and that was a problem with reviews. That doesn't exist anymore, but because Dragon Ball FighterZ isn't a relevant topic to talk about anymore, we don't go and re-update that score, re-update that review, and the problem is that day one review is what someone is going to see when someone goes on Google and writes Anthem review, and they're going to find that 60 on Metacritic, and unless the game gets a retail package 2 years down the line where everything's fixed and all that, it's not going to get re-reviewed, right? We're living in a weird time, and I think the solution to this is don't give games as a service a Metacritic score. Don't give them a score. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh no, scores are good, scores are healthy. I agree. I think scores are important. I love scores. But if you are an informed gamer, the word of the reviewer should be enough to help you understand if you want the game or not. The review score, I'm sorry, and I'm going to say this is going to sound weird, is simply for the average Joe that isn't an informed gamer. It's for the guy who is just random guy who hears about, oh, God of War, this game looks awesome, and wants to go see the scores, right? An informed gamer like us, we watch YouTubers, we watch influencers, we hear IGN talk about it, we hear other websites talk about it, and we base our opinions off that. For example, right now, if I tell you, so I played Anthem, and I really feel like the story's kind of lame, characters are great, gameplay is awesome, but there's rarely anything fun and unique to do. Everything feels repetitive and boring. It's got a lot of technical issues. It's not that fun unless you play with friends. There's not that many weapon variety things. There's not that many armor sets. So you are warned and get ready for it. Right there, I didn't need a score for you to understand everything I just said. I could have ended that sentence with, so I give Anthem a 7 out of 10, but that didn't matter. It's what I just said before that should tell you, oh, okay, the game has technical issues, the game has this, the game's lacking in this or that. So I feel like giving a score right away to a game as a service is just impossible. Even a game like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, that's a single player game. That is an only single player game, and it has gotten a shit ton of fixes and updates and patches that are pretty major and that were complaints from the launch reviews, and that game reviewed great at launch. So this isn't even an issue of bad games that are launching should review just to get better. I think even games that are great are getting updated and getting much better. So yeah, I do feel like giving a review score for a game as a service is doing it a disservice. I think you should just be able to give the spoken word, and I feel like we have to train society. We got to start training people to be okay with that. That like, no, you will read what the reviewer says. You can read the verdict at the end. You will watch the video review. If you really want to spend $60 on a game, you should be informing yourself of what you're buying and what you're getting. Like, I do think that is a fundamental issue people aren't processing and getting over, because again, when a game comes out, everyone wants to just scroll down to the score, right? Like, fuck the words, they look at the score. Read the words, see what the person's actually saying, and you will understand if the game is for you or not. Again, single player games like Mario Odyssey or whatever, you can give that a score. That's cool. I love giving scores for games, I really do, but like, there's no point of giving a score to a game that could genuinely fix big issues a month later, and it just hurts to see a lot of games get fucked over because, not even fucked over, but like passed under the rug just because they weren't updated later. And again, if a game sucks, you will be informed of that. If I tell you Anthem sucks, there's no story, everything sucks, the gameplay sucks, that should speak for itself. I don't have to end that sentence with 4 out of 10, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think we're just living in a weird time where reviewers aren't figuring out. We're reviewing games the same way we did 10 years ago, and that's a problem because games aren't the same way they were 10 years ago. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what you think about review scores, what's going on with everything. But yeah, it's a confusing thing, and I think it just has to evolve, and I think we'll get there slowly but surely. Thank you all for watching. Peace out, and I'll see y'all next time. Subscribe and all that shit, whatever.